Senator Rodante Marcoleta opens the Senate's debate on the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte by moving to dismiss the case. When the Senate convened its regular session on Wednesday, August 6, Marcoleta takes the floor for his privileged speech, describing the impeachment complaint from the House of Representatives as raw.
Ang impeachment complaint po ay parang sinaing na niluto ng House of Representatives. Hilaw po eh. Hilaw na hilaw. Ang dami na pong nagsipagsalita. Samantalang hindi po nila nakita. Ang dami, kayo po nagsimula ng mali. Hindi naman po sinasabi ng Korte Suprema na kailanman ay huwag kayong mag-impeach, huwag na kayong mag-file. Ayusin nyo lang po eh. Yun lamang po ang gustong mangyari dito. Ayusin nyo.
In making his motion, Marcoleta cites the Supreme Court's recent decision that found the complaint against Duterte unconstitutional.
The Supreme Court has already spoken. The last arbiter of law. It says the complaint is unconstitutional, is void ab initio, is violative of due process. The Senate never acquired jurisdiction over this. It is immediately executory. On that note, Mr. President, I respectfully move that the impeachment complaint be dismissed. I so move, Mr. President.
Taking the floor to interpolate Marcoleta, Senate Minority Leader Tito Soto argues that while the Supreme Court's decision was immediately executory, it is not yet final and remains open to appeal. Soto also notes that the House has already filed a motion for reconsideration with the High Court.
Please, let us allow and give chance to the Supreme Court to rectify its decision, which contains clear and blatant errors. For their sake and for the sake of future proceedings, there is no perfect institution. Even Supreme Court ka, pwedeng mag-commit ng grave abuse of discretion or culpable violation of the Constitution. A case decided unanimously does not mean that it is infallible. For all we know, it is a unanimous mistake. That again can be corrected by setting aside and reversing prior pronouncements.
But Marcoleta is almost certain that the Supreme Court is unlikely to reverse its unanimous decision. Citing his research, Soto argues that even landmark decisions can be reversed. The Minority Leader ends his interpellation by moving to table Marcoleta's motion to dismiss. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Ontiveros seconds Soto's motion. The Supreme Court on July 25 declared the impeachment complaint against Duterte unconstitutional for violating the rule limiting the filing of cases to one per year for each impeachable official. In his motion for reconsideration, the House argued that the impeachment process should not be burdened by requirements and technicalities not explicitly stated in the Constitution. House Speaker Martin Romualdez said the lower chamber has the exclusive power to initiate impeachment cases, but the Supreme Court ruling contradicted this. Romualdez said the High Court's decision was based on a misreading of facts and a retroactive imposition of new rules. The court gave Duterte and lawyer Israelito Torreon 10 non-extendable days from receipt of the notice to comment on the motion for reconsideration. The Office of the Vice President assures that Vice President Sara Duterte remains on top of her office's programs even if she's not physically present. This comes amid Duterte's recent overseas trips spanning several weeks, beginning in May when she traveled to the Netherlands, to Malaysia and Australia in June, and then again to the Netherlands and South Korea in July. In a press briefing on Wednesday, August 6, OVP spokesperson Ruth Castelos says Duterte's involvement in her office's programs never diminished.
The Vice President is as involved as she started. So, nung rinol out yung mga programa natin, beginning 2022, up to now, her involvement is the same, even more. Kasi, syempre, marami tayong nakikita na pwede pang mga areas of improvement. Maraming mga bagong ideas rin na binibigay si Vice President. So, her involvement never diminished. Even if she's not physically here, she's still the one running the office. Kasi may technology naman eh, di ba? Tayo lang, yung mga nandito, kami yung gumagawa, kami yung mga sundalo, but the instructions come directly from the Vice President herself.
Castello believes Duterte has become more involved in the OVP despite her absence, stating that the Vice President closely monitors the OVP's regular programs and even its press releases. Meanwhile, the OVP seems to be unaware of Duterte's whereabouts as it fails to provide information on where the Vice President currently is.
Kumusta namin saan po si VP ngayon, ma'am? Tapos kumusta po siya?
Sige, we'll get back to you on that before we end this conference. JC, paalam na lang please.
Is she just here?
Who knows? She can just be right in the office. Oo nga, a few steps away.
Ma'am, ano lang po, saan po siya ngayon? Meron ba siya mga engagement sa labas?
Okay, sige, we'll give you the answer later after we confirm.
The press briefing ended without Costello confirming Duterte's current location. After a trip to South Korea, the Vice President arrived in the Philippines on July 28 during President Bongbong Marcos's fourth State of the Nation address. Duterte was in Marinduque from July 29 to 31 during disaster relief operations conducted by her office in the province. Duterte herself previously said that she is scheduled to travel to Kuwait on August 8. Following explosions believed to be related to China's recent space rocket launch, the Department of Foreign Affairs calls on all spacefaring states to conduct their space activities responsibly and with due regard for the rights and interests of other states. The Philippine Coast Guard earlier confirmed 5 loud explosions were heard in the eastern part of Palawan on Monday, August 4. The agency verified a visible condensation trail in the sky consistent with rocket exhaust or propulsion. The PCG noted that the explosions aligned with the launch of China's Long March 12 rocket. In a briefing on Wednesday, August 6, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro reads the statement of the DFA, saying the Philippines notes with concern China's rocket launch. She cites the previous commitment between President Bongbong Marcos and Chinese President Xi Jinping regarding appropriate communication mechanisms for rocket launches. Castro also notes the government will assess if there were any violations on China's part. She adds that the situation is not yet a cause for concern despite the proximity of the possible rocket debris to Palawan, citing information from the Philippine Space Agency. The Philippine Space Agency earlier said the debris from the launch was projected to fall within the designated drop zones, approximately 21 nautical miles from Puerto Princesa in Palawan and 80 nautical miles from Tubataha Reef Natural Park. ML Party List Representative Laila de Lima belies claims that Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo has aligned herself with the Dutertes, noting that the former vice president has been committed to upholding human rights and pushing for accountability. In a video statement released on Wednesday, August 6, de Lima calls out their ally, former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, after he alleged that Robredo has been silent about the Duterte's ordeal because she and Vice President Sara Duterte are friends. In an interview with One News, Trillanes went as far as saying that Robredo and her former campaign manager, Senator Bam Aquino, said that they would not have surrendered Duterte's father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, to the International Criminal Court. For her part, de Lima defends Robredo's commitment to justice.
As a friend and ally, I can attest to VP Mayor Leni's unwavering commitment to justice and human rights. No one who stood with us during the darkest days of impunity and persecution can honestly accuse her of being soft on accountability, least of all on Duterte.
While de Lima says she cannot speak for Robredo, she knows that Trillanes' claim contradicts the former vice president's statements.
Naalala ko pa, noong nasa Naga City sa Bicol, kami ni VP Mayor Leni, ilang araw lang nakalipas ng pagka-aresto kay Duterte. Sa harap ng media, sinabi niya na ito ang unang hakbang tungo sa pananagutan at hustisya. Sabi pa niya, habang pinag-uusapan ng due process noon sa kaso ni Duterte, hindi raw niya maiwasang balikan ang mga panahong ako ang inaresto at ikinulong sa kabila ng mga gawa-gawang paratang. Para sa kanya, accountability must apply to all. Walang puwang ang double standard sa hustisyang inaasam natin.
For de Lima, the allegations will only sow division within their ranks.
We do not know what has prompted these claims, but we do know their effect: division, distraction, and disinformation. Sa halip na tumutok sa mga dapat singilin sa kapalpakan at kasinungalingan, tayo pa mismo ang nagkakahiwa-hiwalay.
Trillanes in the interview said that the alliance between Robredo and Vice President Duterte dates back to the 2022 national elections, where Robredo ran for president in tandem with now Senator Kiko Pangilinan, and Duterte is the vice presidential bet of the Uniteam. A huge fire hit a residential area in Manila as it reached Task Force Charlie on Wednesday, August 6. The Bureau of Fire Protection says the fire started around 9:44 a.m. in Barangay 105, Zone 8, District 1 in Tondo, Manila. The BFP says one of its personnel sustained injuries due to the fire. The BFP raised the first alarm at 9:47 a.m., the second alarm at 9:48 a.m., and the third alarm at 9:55 a.m. The blaze reached fourth to fifth alarm at 10:10 a.m. and Task Force Alpha at 10:17 a.m. At 10:57 a.m., the BFP already declared Task Force Bravo and Charlie, where 28 to 32 fire trucks must respond to the fire. The fire was declared under control at 12:34 p.m. and extinguished at 4:21 p.m. on Wednesday.